13, your final score is the Eagles get back in the win column on the road against Buffalo. Thanks for joining us on the Postgame Show presented by Rico, Fran Duffy, Ike Reese, Amy Campbell. I love having both of you here at the top of the show. And we get to talk about a win today, guys. I'm pumped for this. We said it coming in. The run game was going to be key with this weather going on. The Eagles really get it done on the ground and through the air, but 218 rushing yards. Ike, original thoughts or initial thoughts and original thoughts from this one.
Well, just my initial thoughts is just how dominant the run game was today, and it's really what you needed on the road in the type of weather that they were going to be playing in today. You really needed to run the ball effectively today, not really have to put the ball in Carson's hands to have to throw the ball 30 to 40 times a day. So that's my first impression coming away from this game is just how dominant the offensive line played today and those running backs behind them. Jordan Howard, what a job today with him running in between the tackles. Miles Sanders finally out in that open space, able to take one of those big plays and turn it into a touchdown for his first career rushing touchdown today. Just a dominant effort, really, by that offensive line.
And I thought the defensive line also was excellent against the run. 20 for 98 in this game, the Buffalo offense rushing the football, but keep in mind how much of that came from Josh Allen, the quarterback. So that wasn't necessarily a run defense. I think the Buffalo Bills, they came in wanting to run the football just like the Eagles in this game, but the defensive line with new players, a defensive tackle, young linebackers, were able to stop the run, which was big.
Yeah, Buffalo only rushing for 98 yards in this one, Ike.
Yeah, really impressive, Fran. That defense today, undermanned, not having their starters in there in key positions in that front seven. Real nice job of those guys coming up today, doing a real nice job coming downhill, making tackles. When you're playing in weather like today, you're kind of worried about whether or not tackling will be an issue. I thought the young linebackers, Nate Gary, flying around everywhere out there today, really made some plays.
Yeah, I think that was big.
Yeah, you talk about the big numbers that jump out. We're looking at this one. The time of possession, Eagles 35 minutes to Buffalo's 24, almost 36 there for the Eagles. When the run game is working and you're able to control the clock like that, you give your defense a break a little bit more as well, and they're able to kind of have that energy through the end of the game. Buffalo's defense at the end of the game looked kind of gassed to me.
Yeah, there weren't multiple turnovers from the offense in this game, so you're able to hold on to the football. Possessing the ball allows you to be a little bit more creative. It allows just more balls to go around. If you're not turning the ball over in your own end to start the game like last week and you're able to sustain drives, that gives you a lot more flexibility to be able to do what you want to do, what you plan to in your game plan in the week of practice throughout the course of the game. And the Eagles were able to go out and execute today.
I know coming into this when we talked about how there was going to be pressure on the linebacking core. What did you see from them today, Fran?
Well, they were able to make plays. I mean, Nate Gary was playing sideline to sideline against a couple of backs that are, elusive and decisive. Devin Singletary, you look at what he's done as a rookie. He's made some big plays, but he's also been very confident carrying the football. Frank Gore is timed and tested as one of the best to ever do it. So the Eagles were able to shut these guys down. It's an offensive line that wants to be able to move people off the football. So I thought that the front seven really came back and responded very well today.
Yeah, Brandon Graham. What a big game by BG today. Just all over the field, forcing turnovers, getting after Josh Allen. Big quarterback, difficult to bring down, knows he likes to run the ball as well when he gets out on the perimeter. I thought Brandon just showed up time after time. Fletcher as well. He and Fletcher, I thought they were all over the field today.
I mean, that first 3 and out for the Buffalo Bills, Fletcher made that stop on a run play. On second down, they came up with a strip sack on third down. So very early on, you had an idea of what you guys were going to get from this Eagles defensive line. BG obviously coming up with that huge turnover at the end of the first half. It was great to see the defensive line come out, basically dominate in this game. That was huge for the win.
Especially when you talk about wanting to see the veterans responding to the adversity, and we saw that especially from Fletcher, especially from Brandon Graham. And you talk about Josh Allen getting things done on the ground. He was the Bills' leading rusher today, 45 yards on 8 carries there, led his own team in rushing, which is kind of not what you want if you're the offense. But he really does continue to develop, in the Eagles' defense, a great job of shutting him down.
He's just so strong and elusive. I mean, we talked about how, comparing him to a Cam Newton coming into the game, and he's very, very similar in a lot of the ways that he's able to have success. So, yeah, he's going to have his plays where he breaks away from the Eagles defense. The tackling wasn't always great today. Slippery conditions out there allowed those guys to be able to make plays through contact. But overall, I thought the defense really showed up in a game look, where they needed to show up. The Eagles needed to come out of this game with a win, and they were able to come through after everything that happened this past week. The resiliency of this group I thought was really impressive.
And the best part was your stars showed up. They led by example. Malcolm making plays out there today. We talked about Fletcher and Brandon Graham. Those are the guys that you needed to step up if you were going to get a victory today. When I look at this game today, all the key players for the Eagles, in my opinion, they're veteran players that you needed to have a big game today. They all came to play. Alshon, Carson had a good game today. Jordan Howard showed why you traded for him in the offseason. And then we talked about the guys on the defensive side of the ball having to come and step up and play today. This Buffalo Bills team, they were using this game as a measuring stick for themselves. You know, they come into this game 5-1, but they know the Eagles' reputation. In fact, they won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Their toughest test came against New England. They fell short in that game, and they felt this game would be a game that they could truly find out where they stand at in the NFL. And to the Eagles' credit, this was a tough game to go up there and have to win. I mean, I played up there at Orchard Park. That is not an easy place to go up there and play. And when they are rolling like they have been this season, it makes it even more difficult.
Especially with that win going. And look, you talk about guys like Malcolm Jenkins, guys like Jordan Howard, two players who were the players to watch from Merrill Reese and Mike Quick before the game. Let's see what kind of game they had. Here's Merrill Kim, my favorite part of our show.
Allen trying to get the Eagles off sides with a hard count. They don't budge. He goes back. He looks. The football is loose, and it is picked up, I think, by Allen. Let's see. He was hit on the play by Fletcher Cox. Wentz takes the snap, and he's back. He's looking. He dumps it out to Sanders, who comes across the 45, runs to the 40, trying to get to the outside, does. 35, 30, 25, and out of bounds at the Bills' 23-yard line goes Miles Sanders, and what a great play, 27 yards. Allen calling for the football. He's going to run, and he is tripped up, and the football is loose. And let's see, I think the Eagles have it.
I think you're right.
I think the Eagles have it. 2nd and 2. Wentz under center. Motion to the near side. Wentz pumps, looks, fires. Touchdown, Eagles! He's got his man. He wanted Dallas Goedert, and he was open, and the Eagles take the lead. Wentz gives it off again, and running up the middle, picking up a first down and more at the 40, 35-30, it's Sanders, 25-20, 15-10-5. Touchdown! Miles Sanders!
His first NFL rushing touchdown. Miles Sanders just breaks off the left side, and he outruns everybody, leaving all of the blue shirts in his wake for his first NFL touchdown.
We have been waiting for that to happen. He's so explosive.
Well, they're bringing in Big V on one side.
Boston Scott. Boston Scott is in the backfield. Wentz under center. Gives to Boston Scott, and he spins, and he's in. Touchdown, Boston Scott.
Boston Scott, another first. His first rushing touchdown.
On 2nd down. Wentz almost slips. Wentz takes it, gives it off to Howard again. Up the middle. Touchdown, Eagles. Howard up the middle for a touchdown.
Boy, he
With
has
6:12 to go, and the Eagles are up 30-13.
That's awesome. Really exciting. I'm hearing some of you, producer Melissa is telling me some of you are asking about my jacket. Some compliments. Thank you very much. I got it last year at the Eagles Pro Shop. But really, guys, I'm just trying to keep up with like Jalen Mills, Malcolm J. This team is so swaggy. I'm just trying to keep up. Actually, with
Doing a good job of it. That's
trying to
nice
keep up with
jacket.
you two up here. Look at, I mean, this blazer's really. I love the little pink and purple
Is
touch
that the
over here.
fuchsia
Yeah, it's
Fuchsia?
fuchsia. Yeah.
What
It's
color would you call
October.
this?
Well, this is fuchsia and pink.
That's a victory suit.
It's
That
that
is
is
a
a
victory
victory
suit.
suit.
That's
I am feeling
That's
that.
right.
All right, Ike, let's get into your 3 takeaways from this one.
Suit is not as sharp as the run game was today. And that's,
Okay.
that's my first takeaway. The run game, dominant. I mean, over 200 yards rushing. Not since that Green Bay Packer game have we seen the run game look this good. And really, everybody that touched the ball was successful running the ball today. Boston Scott got his first touchdown. To get 3 rushing touchdowns from 3 different guys, Sanders, Scott, and Jordan Howard, who led the way rushing the ball today, was phenomenal. And then I think even Carson in the running game, him being able, I think Doug called a quarterback draw on 3rd and 10 on one play, and he actually picked up 11 yards on the play. So just the run game all the way around, offensive line, fantastic job.
218 yards, the best team rushing performance under Doug Pederson since he's been with the Eagles.
That includes the kneel downs at the end of the game too, which I hate
Right.
that stat. So you take 6 attempts out of that. the average goes back up. You add 6 yards to the total. But no, they were outstanding. You mentioned Carson Wentz. I think we got to talk about his performance in this game too, because he was very efficient with the football, took care of it, also knew when to run and when to check down, when to throw the ball away, was very, very smart in the inclement weather against a tough defense that has not allowed a big play all season. I thought it was a really big performance here from number 11.
Yeah, Carson Wentz, 8 carries for 35 yards, average 4.4 yards a carry, the longest one for 13 yards, like you said there, Ike.
Yeah, nice job. And that's my second takeaway from the game is Carson Wentz and the way that he played today, and particularly on third down. 8 for 15 on third down, just clutch. Like you said, protecting the football, knowing where to go with the ball, getting the ball out of his hands quick. I like the deep ball he threw to Alshon today. Nice touch on that pass there, not overthrowing Alshon. So I thought Carson was, for a game that he was pretty much asked to manage today because of the weather, made the throws when he needed to make the throws, and really on third down came up with a lot of big plays on third down. And in the red zone, 3 for 4 in the red zone. Those are really his calling cards as a quarterback here, is that he's efficient on third down and in the red zone, takes care of the football, needed to do all 3 of those things today, and I thought he was excellent at it.
Well, and considering how windy it was in there, he completed 70.8% of his passes, 17 of 24. I thought, especially going against the wind a couple times, really accurate. I thought that was especially impressive from him.
Which, again, you have to also take into account on that, just to add context, the throwaways and the throws he eats. So those, I know it counts towards the completion percentage, but those aren't inaccurate throws. Those are good choices to get rid of the football and take what the defense won this down. We're going to play to the next one. So those, I mean, they factor into the completion percentage, but just speaking to your point about how efficient he was in this game, a really impressive number.
Other people have next-gen stats. We have Fran Duffy to add some context.
And also a great job by him of being patient, right? Allowing the offense to just play itself out. They moved the ball early, got 3 points, then they get down 7-3. He still never seemed rushed back there. He never seemed like he was trying to force throws or force plays down the field. And eventually that defense got him the ball in great position right before the half, able to go in there and get a touchdown. Then I thought they came out in the second half. Great job offensive play calling, able to go down, get that big touchdown from Miles.
It was 11-7 at halftime.
Right.
I mean, this game was very, very tight, and they came out and they busted it open and never looked back in the third quarter. Really impressive performance coming out of the locker room.
Which brings me to my third takeaway from the game.
Man, synced up.
The resiliency
It's
of
like
this
we
team.
planned this.
Right? The resiliency of this team. 2 straight difficult losses where, a lot of people around here, heads hanging down, frustrated. Understandably so, having to go back on the road for a 3rd straight week after hearing all the negativity around town, finding a way to go out and win this football game. Great job from Doug Pederson having his guys ready to go. I thought they came out and showed great resiliency today because this was a game they had to have.
I think when you look at just this team being a second-half team and the numbers you see in the third quarter and then the fourth quarter from this team, that speaks to the coaching staff and to the players as well, but that speaks to the coaching staff saying, okay, we're going to go into the locker room. What do we need to fix? What do we need to get corrected? All right, now let's go out and execute. I think that's a really that's a testament to this coaching staff.
When you talk about how close it was at the half and just how they broke the game open in the half, but they did get on the board first, albeit just a field goal. They go up 3-0, and then they fall behind 7-3. But also just to be able to score right before the half and stop that Buffalo touchdown right going into the locker room, how much momentum does that give a team? I mean, scoring right before the half, to me, is like one of the biggest things I look at determining who's going to win a game is just getting that momentum going off the field into the locker room at halftime.
Yeah, it was huge, and considering they were getting the ball coming out of the locker room, it kind of worked out well for them. I know Buffalo almost got that 3 right there before the half. That certainly would have took away some of that momentum, but the fact that the Eagles were able to get that turnover and then get points out of it and then come out of the locker room and get points. I really felt like that's where the game swung at, where you got, 14 points right there. Buffalo never recovered from that.
Can I say that when we were watching the game off to the side with some of our production team, I was screaming for about 15 minutes about that penalty on Zach Ertz in the end zone on the 2-point play. Like, bewildering.
Is that what that was? Because I heard
ridiculous.
you from the other room, and I wasn't quite sure.
Bewildering, because in that game, the Eagles, there was a tough spot. The defense was able to come through because you're kicking now into the wind on a short field. That gave Buffalo the ability to get into field goal range. Any other game, all right, like fine, you figure it out. You kick a touchback and no harm, no foul. Right. In this game, that ticky-tack penalty could have made a difference. The Eagles' defense held strong.
Yeah, one of the craziest wind games that I've seen, especially at this time of the year, where you're seeing these missed kicks and you're just seeing, how one team had such an advantage going one direction. Have you ever played in a game like that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why if you
Where
have
like just flipping the field
Yeah.
changes the entire advantage of who's got the ball.
Chicago, Windy City. Anytime you
Well,
go out,
there you go.
games, places when you know you have to go there and play, you hope it's early in the season as opposed to October, November, December because the weather is very tricky. And that's how Buffalo is. If you're going to go to Buffalo and play, you want to get up there early in the season as opposed to the mid to the late season because the weather can be tricky. And if you're not used to it, you won't know how to play in it. And so obviously Buffalo is very accustomed to doing it. And the kickers, it's a tough job for them because now it's almost like being a golfer, right? You have to sort of, when you kick that ball, are you kicking it into the wind and playing it for the wind to push back to the left? How far do you kick it outside the goalpost and hope that the wind brings it back in? Man, I would not have wanted to be a kicker out there today.
I was just going to say, it's a good thing I'm not a kicker.
Yeah.
My golf game would not translate to that.
No, it's definitely easy to, be thankful for that. Fran, let's talk about some things that you're excited to break down this week as you get a closer look at the film. What are you most looking to see?
The play of
It's
the
a lot.
offensive line. Yeah, the play of the offensive line, number one. It's always tough. And in this game, there weren't a lot of replays where they were able to show exactly what the offensive line did in this game, both in the run game and in the passing game. I cannot wait to see Brandon Brooks, Lane Johnson. It seemed like they got a lot of movement up front. Excited to see how those two were able to manage in this game. How did Andre Dillard look in his second start against a pretty good defensive front there in Buffalo? Anxious to see what that group looked like just to start things off.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious about just another NFL start for Andre Dillard and how he continues to develop. Any initial thoughts on the offensive line?
I thought they were fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, the times that Carson was sacked, other than the one blitz that I think got on him pretty quick, you can almost chalk those up to coverage sacks, right, where he's back there holding the ball. I thought the offensive line did a nice job, not just in the run game, but in the passing game as well. And it's something they need to continue to build on. I think we talk about Andre Dillard getting more comfortable. The time that he's out there didn't get his number called today, and that's what you want from an offensive lineman. No false starts, no holding calls. That's what you always want. So I would imagine he'll probably grade out pretty well after this game.
He's a guy I'm anxious to go back. You and I broke him down this week on Eagles game plan, so excited to see what he looked like in his second start. The third down offense is another one, too. They did some really good things, I thought, creatively with different stacks and motions to help get guys free. First third down of the game to Nelson Aguilar came off a stack set where he wasn't touched up until he was tackled, which that's what you want. You got him free up past the line or past the first down marker, and the Eagles were able to move the chains. I'm excited to see what they did on third down because they were able to convert some big ones today. You talked about that third and long draw from Carson Wentz, just some really creative play calling that I'm excited to see what the coaches dialed up.
Yeah, it did seem like we saw some extra creative stuff today.
Screen game.
Yeah, the screen game.
Screen game was nice today. Tight end screens, the running back screens. I love seeing that implemented into the game plan. Even though Buffalo isn't a big-time blitzing team, for some reason they came after them a little bit today, and I thought the screen game worked well.
You know what it was like is that when you have a defense that likes to play zone and those guys like to carry, on that long one to Miles Sanders, all the receivers released up vertically.
Yeah.
So all those linebackers underneath, they're running with their receivers because they've got to carry.
All right, Fran, we
space.
definitely want to continue to break that down later, but head coach Doug Pederson approaching the podium. Let's hear his thoughts on this win.
Doug, what did you say to the team after the game on an impressive road win like this? What did he tell you?
Just told them I was proud of them and how they really how they handled their business here in this last week with some of the distractions around our football team and how they were able to kind of put that away, focus on this football game, and just do their job, And this is really a great team win, and I told them that after the game.
This was the most rushing yards during your time here. What was working today on the ground?
Well, I credit the offensive line, the tight ends. Jordan Howard had a big game, but really, I think coming into this game, this is a good defense, good front. Let me tell you that right up at the beginning here. But I felt comfortable, and really the conditions kind of warranted more of a running game. So our offensive line is a very prideful group, and they want to run. They'd run the ball the whole game if you could, but they just did a great job up front. Jordan, ran extremely hard, and pleased with how we handled that today.
Doug, on that long 8+ minute drive in the fourth quarter, that key 3rd and 10, you had a design run with Carson that he picked up. Did you make that play call because you really need this game? Like, is that a call that you make if you were 7-0, for example?
Well, it wasn't a design run.
Oh,
It
okay.
was a screen, and there was a defensive player in his throwing lane, and he just pulled it down and took off. I mean, that's Carson making a play. Just great play by him, great execution, obviously, and he played really, really tough today.
The secondary's received a lot of criticism lately. How do you think they performed today?
I thought they stepped up. You know, criticism. You know, we've had some injury back there, and you know, we've held it together. Coaches have done a great job of coaching their players, and you know, today, you know, Darby was back full, and we had Jalen back out there. I mean, you know, so the secondary, Sidney was out there today, and so we're starting to get those guys healthy and back out on the field. I thought they really did a nice job against you know, some really good skilled players, you know, for the Bills. Did a nice job.
The Miles Sanders 65-yard touchdown. Jordan Howard was in there. Almost seemed like he was fullback. Did you block when you put in that play, or?
Yeah, it was a new kind of a play we wanted to put in this week. Take advantage of our, you know, two running backs. Jordan had a tremendous block on that play, and Miles just so kind of pulled away and showed his speed. You know, just a wrinkle play we had up. You know, I ran it earlier in the first half. Carson had an opportunity to throw it to Alshon over on the right side, and it was incomplete, so came back with it in the second half.
Doug, with all the drama in the last week or so, and you guys have come up here and get a win after what's been a tough few weeks on and off the field, how can this team kind of come together and build from this?
I think we just got to learn, you know, from kind of what we've gone through and really, you know, these first 8 games. We just got to focus on football and come to work every day and keep doing really, frankly, what they did this week in practice and their preparation, and you know, do the best they can to eliminate some of the distraction around the team. And you know, it's a close locker room, and I think today was proof of that. How well these guys played together, the you know, the excitement, the enthusiasm showed today. It was a really, really good team win.
Now, granted, it's only week 8, but given your record coming in, was this a win or else game to be good?
I mean, it was. I'd say it's a pretty close to that. You know, we needed a win, you know, to keep us at 4-4 and keep us, you know, in the hunt. I guess in the conversation, it would have been a lot harder had we had lost this football game, you know, to come back and try to make a run. But we were just focused on going 1-0 this week.
Malcolm Jenkins said that he didn't, or the team didn't have a players-only team meeting in all its years here with the Eagles so far, and they had one this week. Did you kind of talk with them about that, about having one, and how impressed were you with the leaders kind of leading the way for this?
Yeah, and all I really know about it is when I met with the player committee on Wednesday, they approached me about it and wanted to do that. So it was in their hands.
How impressed were you with the leadership leading the way?
I think it's just it's a step in the right direction. You know, for those guys to step up and kind of take ownership, things we talk about. You know, they went out and they earned it today, and I think it's a great step forward for our leaders of our football team, and you know, for them to listen. Being a leader is not about being perfect, and everybody makes mistakes, but they owned it and they stepped up and really led today.
Having guys like Rodney and Malcolm on the scout team, what type of message and examples does that show for the younger guys in this locker room?
Just shows that everybody's got to perform. Everybody has to play, and we're trying to win each week. It's hard to win in this league, and for them to do that and give our offense a quality look, it's nothing against the guys that you know, practice that all the time, and they also wanted to get more work as well and go against you know, Alshon and Zach and you know, Nelly and guys like that. So it's just it's really, really good from a leadership standpoint that they did that.
After the Packers game, you mentioned that a recipe for this team could be running the ball and efficiency from Carson. You mentioned the weather, but was this going to be the game plan regardless, or was it because of the conditions?
You know, you always want to, I think, try to establish that, you know, run game and settled in that way. But today, 2 quarters, you could kind of do some things with your offense, and the other 2 quarters, it was tough because of the weather. So it was probably a little more weather-oriented than anything.
On that final drive, you were going against the wind, and it was a 14-play drive again, more than 8 minutes. Was that your best drive of the season?
Yeah, because it's it's kind of the last one. But it's impressive. The guys really, again, took it upon themselves. You know, we rode the offensive line, the tight ends, and you know, found a way to win. We talked a lot about this week about finishing. You know, it's one of the things that we had to focus on a little bit and do a better job of that, and that was a great example of that.
Well, Carson's game, was it in your face, or was it just the fact that a lot of teams come here and say it swirls and it's
quarterbacks.
Yeah, today for us, the second and fourth quarters, it was really into our face. The rain was kind of coming down sideways a little bit there, and it was a challenge throwing the ball. But I thought, I think we had a drive, they had a drive, into the wind and scored. So, listen, this is the National Football League, and we got to be smart, but at the same time, we ask our players to do that as well.
With Carson, with the way Carson played, how would you assess him?
Man, I thought he played extremely well today. He played tough, made some great decisions. With it, even and again, it goes back to not only the run game helped him, but even for me too as a play caller, trying to put him in some situations to be successful, and he handled those extremely well. Overall, looking at it, just thinking back on the game, I thought he played smart, he played tough, played aggressive, threw the ball well, he was accurate. Helped us stay on the field on I think 8 of 15 or something third down. So played good today.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks guys.
Hey, thanks, Coach. Talking about how conditions warranted more of a running game, gives credit to the offensive line, the tight ends, and Jordan Howard. What a game from Jordan Howard, guys.
Yeah, I mean, just type of game you want. Big back that's going to run downhill, get behind those shoulder pads, and defenses don't like to see in weather like that, right? You start wearing down the opposing defense when you keep giving the ball to that big fella. And you saw that late in the game in the fourth quarter. I thought the holes got bigger for him as the game went on, and he started getting to that second level. And those secondary players don't want to come up and tackle a 225-pound, 230-pound running back.
The scouting term that people will use is forward lean. Like he's
Yeah.
always running with his pads going forward. His feet are always going. So when he gets stopped for what normally would be 2 yards, he's falling for 5. I mean, that's just the kind of runner he is. And in this game, that really helped the Eagles move the football when they needed it.
Yeah, 96 yards, almost cracks 100, 23 carries, average 4.2 yards a game. But I think what stands out about Jordan Howard is how hard he runs. And like you said, Fran, he's just always, you think he's on his way down, but he's getting another 2, 3, 5 leaning. Let's go to our plays of the game. Who wants to go first? Fran can have it.
I think to me, the big one was, we talked, it was 11-7 at halftime. This was a tight game. And to me, the play that really busted it open was that 65-yard touchdown from Miles Sanders, the rookie running back, down the left sideline. Excited to go and watch it on film to see exactly how he was able to shake loose. But I'll tell you one thing. One of the big blocks on that play was from running back Jordan Howard. They lined up with those 2 split backs, both guys on the field. They did it 4 times last week. 3 passes. So I want to see exactly how the Bills lined up. Was it nickel defense? Were they expecting pass? Jordan Howard leaped up into the second level on a lead play and laid out the defender at the second level on that side. So excited to see exactly some of the other things that went into it, but that was the one key block, and that helped break this game open for the Eagles.
Yeah, Coach giving Jordan Howard a lot of credit there in the press conference. He said, yeah, that was kind of a little wrinkle we had in there. Jordan with the big block to spring Miles, and that's why they say ultimate team game. Everybody has to do their assignment, and when you have a guy like Jordan Howard getting that block, Miles Sanders with the gas to make it all the way.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the defense thought that was going to be a passing play, too. I think
That's
the
what it
last
looked
time
like.
the Eagles were in that sort of personnel package, they've thrown the ball out of that package. So nice little wrinkle there, running the ball and using Jordan as a lead blocker. For me, it's the Brandon Graham sack right before the half to force that fumble there, put the Eagles in scoring position. Eagles take the lead there for the first time and never relinquish the lead. And I think being able to score points right before the half, as well as get the 2-point conversion and then score coming out of the locker room, I think turned the game on its head. And once the Eagles went up by double digits, really put that Bills offense in a predicament, meaning that they were going to have to throw the ball just about every time to catch back up. And that's not the formula for success for Buffalo, throwing the ball. They would rather run the ball, and they certainly don't want to throw it when you know they're going to throw it. So I thought getting that turnover right before the half and allowing the Eagles to get points to go in the locker room and take that lead really established a confidence level that the Eagles never relinquished.
Yeah, I think maybe next time we do this, I might go first because that one was going to be mine as well. But I will tell you a little different spin on it. My key to this game coming in was to force Josh Allen to turn it over. How the Bills, when Josh Allen doesn't turn it over, they usually win. And so that was kind of the key, was not just to win the turnover battle, but to force force him to turn it over. He fumbled 3 times and the Eagles recovered 1. That one. As soon as that happened, I looked at producer Melissa and I said, that's my play of the game. The Eagles are going to win. Now, it was far from over for the Eagles, but I was like, that was what they needed. If they can not turn it over themselves, forcing Josh Allen to turn it over, that's going to be what makes the difference in this one. So yes, like you said, sets up that score, momentum going into halftime. But the fact that Brandon Graham was able to do this, especially with all the pressure that was on the defensive line in this game, I mean, Eagles fans just have to love this guy. It just warms my heart every time I see him.
No question. It was a huge performance. 6 tackles, a sack, a forced fumble, and the fumble recovery on that one play. It's funny you brought that up because I was thinking about my key to the game as well. And pregame, we talked about this on the kickoff show. I said that they had to watch out for those trap runs, those quick-hitting downhill runs. Didn't take long. Second drive of the game, they ran that play, and it went for no yards. The Eagles were able to shut down that run as well as most of the other runs here. I've got the numbers on what they were able to do. Frank Gore, 9 for 34. Singletary, the rookie, 3 for 19. If you're going to be able to do that against the 2-star running backs in the other team, that's really going to lead to a good day on defense.
Yeah, very impressive stuff there from the Eagles defense. And look, we talked about how the veterans needed to step up. We saw that today. We talked about Brandon Graham. We talked about Fletcher Cox. Malcolm Jenkins, another one of those guys who, hey, he was able to catch up. Eagles insider Dave Spadaro was able to catch up with Malcolm Jenkins after this game to hear from the veteran safety. Here's Dave and Malcolm.
Hey, Malcolm, this team came together today. What do you think here? How did it all happen?
I think we just played, team ball. Offense, had their moments where they flashed. Defense had their moments where we got stops. Special teams, just a complete team win versus a physical team, a good team on the road. Obviously, a good win.
Galvanizing week when all things are considered. What happened during the week?
I think so. I mean, this team is not new to adversity. When things get bad, we always tend to glue each other together, and this is no different.
Thank you.
All right, great stuff. Thank you, Dave. Always fun to see those that excitement coming off the field. To me, that is like those emotions when you can capture them in that moment is huge.
How long did it take you when you're coming off after a game to level out and return to normalcy?
Yeah, it takes a while. I mean, you normally have to go in there and get showered, and you sort of come down off the energy rush that you had, the adrenaline from the game. It can take a few moments there. So I can imagine Malcolm walking off that field. He's trying to collect his thoughts. He got a lot of stuff racing through his head. It's been a long week, been a tough week mentally for these guys. And to get that win, I'm pretty sure, felt a little draining, but relieved, I'm pretty sure, at the same time. And they also know they still have a lot of work to do, right? You get one and you almost don't get enough time to enjoy that one, right? You're saying to yourself, man, this is the feeling that we've been missing. I want to go back out there and let's do it again.
Well, and he has to be, part of him just has to be feeling extremely relieved. There was a lot of pressure, on this entire team this week, this defense, but especially him as a leader, how his name was out there being called out a little bit for him to, there was a little bit of that, I lived up to what I needed to do. Does that stuff get in your head at all?
Yeah, for sure.
It's impossible not to, right? You're a human.
Yes, he's a competitor, and when you're sort of challenged or someone calls you out and is questioning whether or not your leadership on the team, he's going to take that personal, especially from someone who doesn't know him very well, right? Someone that was here for such a short period of time to go out there and cast these type of things about this man's character. I'm pretty sure that did not feel good. And while you don't want to allow that to take control of you, right? You want to be able to control those emotions. That was certainly in the back of his head as far as motivation and wanting to go out there and play well today.
We're talking about emotions and stuff. Coming off a victory, and you have a short flight. But I know the flight from Buffalo. I've made that flight a few times. It's a short one.
Yeah.
What's it like when you have to feel a little bit of relief coming after that win, after losing 2 straight? All right, short flight. I'm going to get home quick. Now, are you getting ready for Chicago almost instantly? How long do you kind of let that linger a little bit?
Well, you kind of try to enjoy it for the rest of the day, right? It's been a couple of weeks since these guys have been able to smile on the plane ride back after the game, right? Exactly. So you certainly want to enjoy it because wins are very hard to come by in this league. But at the same time, there's a lot of work still left to be done, and this is a prideful football team. They'll enjoy it for 24 hours, get home, hug the family, the wife and the kids, and you may watch a little football the rest of the day. Like you said, it's a short flight, so they'll be back here in a couple wires and able to catch the evening game. But I'm pretty sure when they get up tomorrow, it's back to business, right? It's back to business. You want to almost repeat what you did this past week, right? You sort of figured out a formula that's going to allow you to be successful this week and led to a W. We as athletes, we're creatures of habit. So you try to get back into that same routine that you went through last week so you can have that same result the following week.
Yeah, you know, that mental rhythm throughout the week for a football player is just a huge component of the game that I don't think gets enough conversation, enough credit to these guys who are dealing with the wins and the losses and flush that, but learn from it, but move on, but don't forget it, all of those different things that you have to do to be able to, you know, get your mind in the right place. I want to highlight Boston Scott. He had his first NFL touchdown, and you talk about that mentality. I mean, a guy who has continued to show up, do the right thing, wait for his number to be called, and had, you know, did have a fumble in this game. Yep. Flush that, hang on to the touchdown. What did you see from him today?
I mean, we've just seen what we've continued to see from this kid going back to, you know, last preseason, the preseason 2018 when he was in New Orleans. I remember watching him, and you see this dynamic playmaker on offense and on special teams. He's got juice to be able to make the big play. We saw a little bit of that last week late in the game against Dallas as well. They're trying to find ways to get him into the football game. He comes in the low red zone and is able to plunge in for his first score. So I think when you look at Boston Scott, there are some similarities, and he's not the same player. But in terms of usability, to a young Darren Sproles. I mean, he's got that quickness, that ability to impact the game a number of different ways. So still a young player, only in his second year in the league, but interested to see how he can continue to develop in this offense.
Yeah, 5'6", able to get behind those linemen. Very difficult to see as a defender, right? The same thing, the problem Sproles presents when he has the football in his hands and you're running sort of that delayed draw or you're running that lead play up in there. That's a benefit for Boston Scott, right? He knows that he's going to be hard to find, and he does a great job of getting behind those linemen. And I thought last week versus Dallas, when it was in garbage time late in the game, he ran the ball well, earned some extra carries this week. He earned the trust of Deuce. He earned the trust of Doug Pederson, because when Miles Sanders go out, they could have very easily went strictly to Jordan Howard in those situations. But Boston Scott, earning the trust of his coach, is able to get out there and get some carries in.
What about Miles Sanders? You know, we're going to be waiting to see how that shoulder, he left the game questionable to return with the shoulder, but really involved in the screen game, especially today. That was really working for Doug Pederson's offense.
Young player, still trying to find the exact sort of identity he's going to possess in this offense. Certainly carving out the ability to be a part of the passing game, right? He's certainly an explosive player. We knew all those things. It's really just getting him out in open space. You know, the running of the football, being patient behind the line of scrimmage, knowing when to put that foot in the ground and get north and south versus taking everything outside. He's still learning that. It's an every week process for him. But you see at times why they drafted him in the second round, because he's a home run threat when he does touch the ball. His ability to take a short play, turn into a long play, is something this offense can use the rest of the season.
He only had a handful of touches in the game. It was 3 carries, 3 catches, I think, when you look at the overall stat line. But I'll just say this.
Yep, 3 catches for 44 yards.
Small sample size, but I thought that he was running the football confidently today. I thought that he seemed very confident, not just the touchdown, but even on some of those shorter runs, I thought that he seemed very decisive with the football, which is good to see. I'm excited to see that on film as well.
Yeah, and as we have continued to see him develop, I mean, it feels like yesterday, Fran and I were here, we were talking about him getting drafted and how excited Deuce was to have him in this offense, and a huge weapon for Carson Wentz, who I believe is slowly approaching the podium, a guy who we're very excited to hear from after a great win for Carson.
What's the outfit going to look like today?
Yeah, that's the other thing we're looking to see. Again, we talked about completed 70% of his passes, 17 of 24 for 172 yards, 1 touchdown, a rating of 104.9. Really good stuff there from QB1. And I don't know if he's going to look as awesome as I do in this jacket today, but in there. I might win. Let's listen.
Great question for Carson. The 2 third-down runs. Can you just was the first one an RPO? Was the second one just kind of improvised?
First one was a naked play, and Deanne just got wide, so I just saw green grass, took it. Second one was a screen play. Guy was in the throwing lane and just kind of took it and ran and made a play. And that drive was huge. Those plays were huge. The way we were able to run the ball in that drive, the way we could finish the game like that was big for us.
That second one.
Lost the phone.
That's my phone.
I got you.
First, how tough was it to adjust from quarter to quarter, switching field, switching sides, throwing the ball?
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting weather. Probably as windy as I've played in. Took me back to the good old days on the playground, probably back in North Dakota, that wind. But yeah, I mean, you were cognizant of which direction you were going with the wind, against the wind, and that, to some extent that maybe changes play calls a little bit. But the way we were able to run the ball today, that was huge for us.
That second run, take me through that. When did you realize that you were better off tucking it around?
Right when the DN was in the throwing lane, and at that point I just went into improv mode and made a play. The guys had a screen set up for the receiver, and I just tried to get in behind it as best I could.
You had another third down conversion on that try to pass to Zach down inside the 5. What did you see there? Was he the first progression on that?
He crushed his guy off the line. I saw his release, and that was the route right there, and he got wide open on the corner, did a great job, and I know he had a really quiet game otherwise, but when we needed him, he stepped up and made a huge play.
Carson, there's been so much turmoil on and off the field the last few weeks. How does a win like this on the road in tough conditions help bring you guys together going forward?
Yeah, this win was huge for us. Obviously, conditions, going on the road, everything. I mean, shoot, this was our third straight road game. That's tough, to do what we did today, to stay together throughout everything, and to come out and get a big win against a really good football team. That was huge for us, and will give us a lot of confidence going forward.
Carson, why do you think the pre-snap motion worked so well in this game?
I think it's just something that we like to do here and there to just kind of move the front a little bit, get them get their eyes looking at different things, the jet motions, those types of things, and we were able to do that and do that effectively tonight.
The Miles Sanders touchdown, having Jordan in there as well, Jordan's block.
Yeah, that was sweet,
yeah.
by the way.
That play, I guess, was put in this week. What can that give you when you have the two running backs?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I said to Miles, you better give your other boy some love on that, because Jordan's block was sweet. I had front row view on that. And to have an explosive run like that, I mean, it's been a while since we've really broke a long touchdown run like that. And conditions like they were today, that was huge. That was huge. And Jordan, being selfless the way he did, turn it into a fullback right there. I can't say enough good things about those two guys.
With that kind of weather, how long does it take to sort of calibrate, how much you have to adjust your mechanics and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, you try not to adjust anything, and some you just have to chalk it up. The wind's going to do its thing at times, and so you just obviously you guys saw I was wearing gloves. I was doing something different, but guys made plays, and we were smart with how we attacked in the passing game when we did.
Did you see different things in terms of trying to figure out if you needed to wear gloves? Like how did that work?
Yeah, pregame definitely came out and was trying it with and without gloves, and the gloves was ended up being a good decision, especially with the rain and everything. So, but yeah, it was a huge win for us.
Was there one pass that sort of sailed? It seemed rolling out right.
Yeah.
Was that to Zach? I think.
I'm just thankful there was only one that sailed. So yeah, that one, just got away from me.
What have you seen from Miles as far as, obviously the running game production hasn't been what it was, but from just a confidence standpoint and him getting better every week in practice?
He's been awesome. He's been an incredible rookie. The way he's come in and just wanted to learn, wanted to work. He's obviously had some huge plays in the passing game for us and able to understand what we're trying to do offensively in the passing game, in the blitz pickup game, and then obviously running the ball. He's always been that big play threat, and to get a big one tonight or this afternoon, that was huge for us.
When you look back at this week and everything you guys kind of went through on and off the field, is there something in that team meeting that maybe you felt carried over into this game?
I just think, I said it last weekend after the loss to Dallas. I said, I think this is going to bring us closer together. And then obviously there was a lot of other outside noise and everything, but guys were able to just stay together and stay focused on the task and keep bringing the energy to practice, keep bringing the focus, and we were able to come away with a big victory today.
So how did you approach your leadership role this week? Did you challenge the guys, or what did you?
Yeah, just try and keep everyone together. It's easy when losses come to want to point fingers, and guys, just trying to make sure everyone's on the same page going forward with everything going on, and guys did a really good job responding.
You guys are at the halfway point of the season now. You're 4-4. Sure, that's not what you wanted to be at this point, but how do you feel about where this team sits right now as you head into the second half?
Yeah, I feel huge. This was a huge win. I feel good about it against a really good team on the road. Like you said, 4-4 is not where we wanted to be, but to come away with a victory here hopefully this can propel us going forward, and I feel good going forward that we're going to be able to do some good things.
Pederson, would you like to use more 21, 22 personnel just with the help you have in that backfield?
I think we do a really good job of mixing up our personnel. From doing 11, getting 3 wideouts, to getting 2 tight ends, to we were able to get Big V out there in some running situations as well. And I think Coach does a really good job of mixing up the personnels and playing the matchups wisely.
When you get the opportunity to run, do you feel like it just plays to your strengths?
I still don't. I mean, a lot of those guys are a lot faster than me, so I do not want to run ever. But when I'm out there, got to make a play. We were able to do that, and again, I'm not seeking running or anything, but when it's there, I'm gonna do it.
It does seem like, Carson, that when you either run or there's something called that gets you in motion, that the offense seems to open up. You guys feel that too?
I think it did today, for sure. I think coming in, obviously with the conditions, bigger emphasis on the running game. So to be able to run some of those play-action bootlegs and those things, I thought were huge for us today, and it's something we can keep building on.
How much pressure to take off your shoulders? How much pressure to take off your shoulders when you guys are running the ball, doing it so successfully?
It's huge. It's huge, and it's really our recipe. It's how we want to be. We want to be able to run the ball. We want to be able to establish the line of scrimmage, and we were able to do that today.
All right, so you had the game in Green Bay. You had this one, both real critical swing type games.
Yeah.
Nice to win them, but how much of the message is going to be we'd like to avoid these situations?
Yeah.
Start to string some wins together?
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, hopefully this can propel us going forward. I don't want to call them swing type of games, but these are big wins, big key wins on the road against, like the Green Bay team. This is a great team too, and to come in here and get a big win. Like I said, hopefully this can propel us going forward. And now, thankfully, we're at home a couple weeks, so that'll help a lot.
What does it say about the guys in the locker room? Like you said, there's a lot going on this week, a lot of outside noise, that you're able to kind of, as a group, kind of keep it together?
It's huge, and I think that speaks a lot to the veterans and just guys, being hungry to get back on the field and get that losing taste out of their mouth and stay together. We try and do everything we can to block out all the extra noise and everything, and guys were able to do that and do that well this week.
Carson seemed to have trouble finding its stride early, and then how much did you feed off that Brandon Graham strip sack, whatever it was? Because I think you scored touchdowns 4 of your next 5 possessions. I mean, how much were you able to feed off that offensively?
Yeah, I mean that was huge. Anytime the defense can create a turnover, that's huge. And then obviously for us to take advantage of that, the good field position, to take advantage of the momentum. That's really what we try and do every time we step on the field. The defense, we try and control the ball offensively, but when the defense can create a turnover, we got to capitalize, and we were able to do that today.
Carson, was that long drive in the fourth quarter, 8+ minutes? The play that got you in close was your throw, sort of the key to the win. I think or someone's not
Yep.
What did you see on that play?
Ursus did a great job getting open, creating separation, and like I said earlier, he might have been a slower day for him with catches, but in the game on the line, like it was, big huge play opportunity like that, he did a great job getting separation, and I could have almost punted that one to him. He was
you were throwing into the wind there. How did you have confidence to get
there? He was so open, so I just find a way to get it to him, and probably better ball he probably gets in the end zone, but I'm just glad to complete it.
What about
guys?
Take 2 more questions.
We have time for 2 more. To Alshon down the left side in the third quarter. What was that play?
That was a big one for us. Something that we saw the first half. So it was a good adjustment that we made at halftime coming out, and we were able to take advantage of it and get a huge play.
How much do you guys last question. How much do you guys enjoy those long drives when you're able to kind of impose your will like you did?
That's what we try and do. That's what we try and do offensively, and especially in the fourth quarter like that, with kind of the game up in the air the way it was. That's the type of drive we want to have and seal the deal. Zach, go ahead. You got one?
Thank you. Like you said, the recipe is running the ball. You're the franchise quarterback. What makes that the recipe that you quarterback?
We just want to establish line of scrimmage. I think that's with the big guys up front that we have. That's one of their biggest strengths in establishing the line of scrimmage. And I think everything else that we do, from the play actions, from the bootlegs, the nakeds, all of that stems from those guys controlling the line of scrimmage. So to be able to come in here and control it the way we did was huge for us.
Okay,
thank you guys.
All right, Carson talking about imposing the team's will on offense, and what jumps out to me immediately, guys, is just how they were able to use the run game to control the clock. But that last drive, as they're up trying to ice the game, 14 plays, 8 minutes and 17 seconds, just using the running game to control the clock, but imposing their will on a really good Bills defense. Fran, how impressive is that to be able to do that? Obviously, it's what you want to do, but to actually be able to get that done execution-wise.
Yeah, I think a lot of fans know what the 2-minute drill is, but the 4-minute drill is, equally as important. And the 4-minute drill, a 2-minute, you're in hurry-up offense, you're trying to score, put points on the board, try and come back. 4-minute drill is the opposite. You're trying to possess the football, grind the clock down, and salt away a victory. So the Eagles have shown the ability to be able to do this before. We've seen them numerous times over the course of the last 3 years have success in the 4-minute drill. Ultimately, what I think is that it just comes down to being a good situational football team. And you hear that all the time when you hear situational football. What does it mean? All of these plays are all go into different situations. Third down, red zone, backed up, first down run game, third down pass game. How are you able to do it? If you're able to win in situational football across the board, more often than not, it's going to result in a W, and the Eagles were able to do that today.
Exactly what we saw today. All right, Mike Quick caught up with head coach Doug Pederson after the game. Let's hear from the coach and Mike.
First of all, Coach, congratulations on getting back into the win column. Many weeks you haven't gotten a lead, but today you drew first blood on the scoreboard. What was the difference?
I think the mindset of the guys coming in here, we had a lot of distraction probably in the last couple of weeks, and in particular this past week leading up to this game. And I really give a credit to our leadership of our football team, how they handled not only themselves, but how they handled their team, the way they took ownership of a lot of things that were being said and kind of swirling around our team. And then coming out here and putting that type of performance up, getting the lead. We talk about trying to start fast and get the lead and not play from behind. And we were capable of doing that today, and it really paid off, made a difference.
Speaking of your leadership, your quarterback, 17 to 24, and I thought it was one of his best games, his ability to run the ball when you needed him to run, and just talk about his performance and how much he gave you today.
He played lights out today. Anytime you don't have to ask your quarterback, I think in this league to throw it 40, 50 times a game, and you can run the ball with success. It just helps your overall offense. It really helps your game. And he made some really good decisions in the passing game. It was a struggle there for probably the second and the fourth quarter, just going back into the win. But he made plays. He relied on his guys. His guys got open. They caught the ball in some tough elements. Proud of the way he played.
And you kind of lead me to my next question, your running backs. I thought they were outstanding. Miles only got 3 carries, but very effective. But Jordan Howard, he was solid, and your offensive line moved the ball all day. I think, is that what you really wanted to come into this game doing, or is it you felt like you could move the football?
Yeah, we feel like we got a really good offensive line, number one. They work hard in practice. We felt like Jordan Howard could take advantage. It was going to be a downhill style, kind of in the trenches type of a run game. With the amount of speed they have on defense. And it's a good defense. It's a big defense. They're athletic. They can run around. These two safeties, Poyer and Hyde, are aggressive, and they're around the ball a lot. And I just give my hats off to the offensive line. They really took it upon themselves. Even as a play caller, just being able to come back and dialing up run after run, kind of settled in. I thought, again, Jordan's the type of back that we expected, and he had an outstanding game today.
How proud of you, and I think you have to be awfully proud when you look at this team only give up 15 yards, or they gave up only 15 points per game coming into this game. You scored 31 points on them.
Yeah, it's a great defense. Sometimes our players are sort of oblivious to some of those stats and our records. We just got to go play, and that's kind of what they did today. They put a lot of distraction behind them, focused on their job, played for 60 minutes. Our word was finish. We needed to finish better, and they did that today.
I have to ask you this one question, because on the defensive side, 3 of your 4-man rotation at defensive tackle, there are guys who were on practice squads last week. How big was that, the performance that those guys gave you?
Yeah, I'll go back and watch the tape in the morning and get a better evaluation of that. But just having those bigger bodies, having those guys in there, it allows Fletcher to get some rest during the course of the game, keep him healthy. And I thought initially, just thinking back, that they really stepped up and did a nice job today, and it's something that we can build on.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Quick.
All right, great stuff there from Mike and head coach Doug Pederson. Mike bringing up something that I meant to mention a while ago, and I forgot. This was a Buffalo defense that allowed 15.2 yards per game. The Eagles scored 31, so doubling that. Coach talked earlier this week about going back to basics with the offense and kind of just getting rid of some of that mental clutter for the guys and just he also talked in that interview about how he was able to really call the game the way he wanted to because things were working so well. How did you see the offense kind of maybe scaling back but still being even more efficient?
Yeah, I think ultimately the big thing is having success on first and second down allows you to stay on track with your game plan. Everybody, you hear the saying all the time, stay on schedule as an offense. That allows the coach or the play caller to be able to stay on schedule with calling plays, being able to rack up things from a situational standpoint. There were several plays today that I thought that the Eagles had the right play dialed up at the right time against the right defense. And that's what happens when you have first and second down success.
And I think more importantly, when you go on the road, you got to take care of the football. No turnovers today, and penalties have to be minimal. And they only had 4 penalties today. If you think back to the Eagles' 4 losses, you look at those games, it's penalties and turnovers, self-inflicted wounds where they can't get out of their own way. They didn't have any of that today. They really played a clean game today. Fran talked about the running game, being able to stay ahead of the sticks. That allows when you get to 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3, you're not going to have to basically put stress on your offense to throw up there in those conditions like they were today in Buffalo. Just a real nice job of this offense having a clean game, playing a clean game. And typically when they play this way, they come out victorious. If you look at the 4 wins that they've had where they've been able to put up these type of points, they take care of the football, the penalties are minimal or minimized, and they don't have those plays in the game where they get behind the chains, right? Where they hurt themselves. And through the first half of this season, that's really, you can look at the 4 wins and the 4 losses, and when you look into those details, I think that's what you're going to find. You're going to find that when they play a clean game, they're going to come out victorious. But when they play a sloppy game and you have turnovers and penalties, it's very hard to overcome. They didn't get down by double digits today, which we know that's been an issue all year long. When they can play with the lead and they can play with confidence like they did today, this is the type of football team they can be.
Well, and with a couple of those penalties, things didn't get off the rails. And that was something that Coach was looking to see this week is, hey, can we stay mentally tough and not, when something happens, get into that narrative of, oh, here we go again. And we really saw that resilience from them as well. We are going to take a quick break, Fran. We're going to catch you in a little bit for a breakdown for the Rico review, which I'm super excited for. We'll see you on the other side of this break. Hey, thanks for watching the Postgame Show presented by Rico. Not sure if you guys knew this, but it is National Tight Ends Day, and how fitting for Dallas Goedert, who scored the Eagles' first touchdown in this win to put the Eagles up in this one. 11, I believe. Yes, they got the 2-point conversion. 11 points for the Eagles. He is the subject of today's Rico review from Fran Duffy. Fran, give us a closer look at the Dallas Goedert touchdown.
So after that Brandon Graham fumble recovery, the Eagles now only have to go a little bit to be able to get into scoring range. And that's where we're at here. Low red zone. It's 2nd and short. And the Eagles call a route concept, a couple of route concepts that they've shown in this area of the field before. First, you're going to get a fake screen here to Alshon Jeffrey, where just before the snap, he's going to motion in here, and just like he did against the New York Giants last year on the road, Carson Wentz would turn and throw this pass to Alshon, and he'd be able to plunge forward for a first down. So the defense, they've all seen this on film. The Eagles have shown that they're willing to do it, but in those plays, the point isn't just about what you're doing to Alshon, it's about what you're setting up for down the road, either in that game or in situations just like this, because we're going to let this roll, and you're going to see that Carson Wentz is going to take the snap. Here comes Alshon Jeffrey in motion. This looks exactly like what we've seen from this offense before. Look at the eyes of the defense. You've got a number of guys that are looking right here at this screen, but that's not where the ball's going to go here. The ball's actually going to go on a two-man route concept that the Eagles have run numerous times just this season. This is going to be a stick nod route from Dallas Goedert, okay, right here. And then you've got Zach Ertz, who's going to run a little return route. So if that nod is taken away, he's going to have Zach Ertz here as a check down for a first down. But that check down is not going to be necessary. We'll let this run, as you're going to see Dallas Goedert. He's going to win one-on-one at the goal line, comes away with a touchdown in the middle of the field. Great design by the Eagles coaching staff, understanding what Buffalo is going to play and then attacking on it. Great job there to get on the board at the end of the first half. The Eagles go in 11-7 with this two-point conversion.
Thank you, Fran. Love the Rico review. Dallas Goedert, one of 4 Eagles to have a touchdown today. The other 3, the 3 running backs on the team. So kudos to the Eagles tight end for that one. I'm sure he's very excited to help his team get back in the win column. On the other side of this break, we've got your Toyota Players of the Week nominees. Your chance to win a free Toyota. That's pretty cool. Stay with us just on the other side of this break. Now is your chance to vote for the Toyota Player of the Week. Go to PhiladelphiaEagles.com/Toyota Player of the Week to cast your vote and get a chance at a brand new Toyota. All right, we've got the 3 nominees for the people. Brandon Graham, Miles Sanders, and the Eagles offensive line. Hey, if they can go in the body issue as ESPN's body issue as a unit, they're a unit on the field. They're getting a nomination here.
Do not remind me of that again.
Oh, please. That to me was like, I love these. I just love them even more after that. Like, got to know them better than I thought I ever would. But just to see the personality come out, this is one of the things you got to love about these guys. Okay, let's focus on this game. Yes. I'm giving Brandon Graham my vote because my key to the game was to force a turnover from Josh Allen. Not only that, but the pressure that was on this defensive line and the leaders in that locker room this week, and the way Brandon Graham, despite the adversity, game in and game out, he plays through the whistle until the clock hits 0-0-0. And I love to see him coming up and making a game-changing play for the Eagles today.
I agree. It'd be hard not to vote for Brandon in the type of game that he had today. But when I look at this game, Amy, it's hard not to vote for that offensive line.
I know, that run game, though.
Yeah, 200 yards rushing. I'm surprised Jordan Howard's not one of our Toyota Player of the Game nominees. But I would have to go with the O-line.
Yeah.
Despite the ESPN issue.
Best rushing performance under Coach Doug Pederson and against a really good
defense.
Really good Bills defense, which, that's pretty cool that they got good things going in Buffalo. It makes the games a lot better. All right, we talk about moving on from this one. We're going to relish this for at least another 24, but next week, of course, we will be back here as the Eagles get to come home, which Finally. We're excited. I know they're excited. They're going to be welcoming the Chicago Bears. The Bears now 3-4. They lost to the Chargers today. It was a pretty ugly loss, 17-16. Missed a field goal with a chance to win it. I know that's probably a little triggering for them.
Field goal
Two field
kickers
goals
with
in
the
this one,
Bears,
but
yeah.
it just continues to be their Achilles heel. What are your initial thoughts about the matchup here with the Bears?
Well, a lot like this with Buffalo, except it'll be at home. Chicago, it's very difficult to put points on the board against that defense. But coming off another heartbreaking loss at home due to special teams, it'll be interesting to see where the Chicago Bears team is at mentally. You got two teams really kind of going in the opposite direction here. Eagles found their mojo today. They get to come back home, coming off a big road victory. Chicago will be coming in here next week facing this Eagles team that's coming off a big victory at home, getting to play their first road game. And that's a deflating loss that they had today to the LA Chargers.
Wow,
That's
okay, so
difficult.
they outgain the
look at that.
Chargers 388 to 231 and still get the loss. Two turnovers will
rushing
kill
game.
you, and
Yeah.
Wow, they absolutely crushed them on the offense. But yeah, 2 turnovers, dominated time of possession. Ooh, turnovers and a couple of missed field goals, and that will put an L in the column. A great, good chance for the Eagles to get an NFC win as well.
Yeah, big win. They need one too. When you start looking at the conference tiebreakers, things of that nature, the Eagles, I think all 4 of their losses have been to NFC teams.
Yes.
So it'd be nice to get a victory in the conference against a team that, Chicago's season isn't over with yet, but you got a chance to put them in a difficult position, and especially having a tiebreaker over them.
Well,
Got to get this one at home.
Yeah, and we got the sense last year, at least I did, with Chicago, that this was a team that wasn't quite there, but had kind of everything in place, and that loss to the Eagles in the playoffs to kind of eliminate them almost was going to be that galvanizing moment for them. They were young, they were a little inexperienced, but that was going to be the moment that now you see a veteran team that has this experience, and that's not what we've seen from them this year. But they
Still
definitely have that potential.
Struggles at the quarterback position with Mitch Trubisky just coming back, but that's really their biggest issue. Their defense is good enough to keep them in games. They're going to be in just about every game because they don't give up a ton of points, but their offense has been ineffective. The quarterback has struggled to put points on the board, so let's keep it that way next week.
Yeah, well, the Eagles can build on this win over Buffalo as they look to welcome Chicago next week. Of course, we will be right back here 30 minutes before kickoff. Fran Duffy will be joining me for the kickoff show, and then as always, when it's all over, we're gonna wrap it all up with the post-game show as always. Hey, have a great week, everyone. The Eagles got the W. We have plenty to celebrate, but we're looking ahead to Chicago. We'll see you next week.